Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Liberated Women podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, you will notice that my usual background has changed once again, as we are literally 2 days away now from leaving our house in the UK and making our way to sunny Costa Rica. So, hopefully, in the next few episodes that you tune into, I will be wearing entirely different attire to this lovely, massive, chunky roll neck knitted jumper that I'm currently sporting for you so elegantly, and be wearing all of the dresses and the beautiful skirts that I have been sitting in my wardrobe for a really long time since I last lived in a hot country. And I will finally be able to express myself in my goddess essence. And I cannot wait for that. So, today's episode, I'm going to be delving into what light language is or soul language is and how it can be used to help people in their healing journey, in their spiritual journey, in their spiritual awakening. And I'd love to share with you a little bit about my own personal journey with light language, how I was activated into using it, what it is, and how I now use it both on myself and with my clients to support them in their healing journey. So, I'm going to start with the definition really of what light language is from my perspective, what I believe it is, and how it appears to me in my life. So, for me, light language or soul language, there's multiple names that you can call it. I like to think of it as soul or light language because it's coming from the essence of your soul, and it's a form of either verbal communication which comes out in different words, in different sounds, or in song that goes beyond linguistic constraints. So it relies on more of a symbolic way of showing things through sounds and through gestures and movements. It can come out in writing, and it can also come out in spoken word. So we have movement, sound, song, spoken, and writing, all different forms of light language. And unlike a spoken language, which is kind of bound by syntax and grammar and sentence structure, and it has to make, sense to the average person to understand what it is that you're saying with your words. And you'll have heard me say so many times that words cast spells and words have power and meaning. And so the sound and the resonance of the words that we use hold so much power. Beyond that, the grammar, the syntax, the sentence structure, the spelling, there is no spelling in light language. Light language taps into kind of more of a universal language of the soul. And so when you start to channel or speak light language, and it really is channeled, it is a transmission that comes through your soul. It's an ancient remembering. It is not something that you can make up on the spot. It's not something that you can learn in terms of, from a textbook or at school or in a kind of educational environment. You can certainly be activated into connecting with light language or soul language. And certainly people who already speak or sing or move or write light language can activate others. And I'll come on to that later. But it's not something that you can learn, sitting at a desk in a classroom with a teacher in that kind of way. But those people who, like myself, who channel and speak light language, it's often described as like a form of transmission that carries some kind of energetic frequency or a code, or I like to think of it as I'm rewriting scripts. So when I channel light language, I'm often rewriting a code or rewriting a script that's already been written. And that could be like a deep held belief that has been passed down to you through your ancestry, through your lineage. It could be a belief that you have attached to as part of a curse that was placed on you in a past life or in a multiple in another realm, in another dimension. Or it could be a vow that you took when you came onto the earth at this time, and your soul incarnated. And so I'm rewriting those codes or those frequencies using the light language. And it has these healing vibrations that can literally shift the energy in the field around you. And so when I've used light language, particularly in my one-to-one sessions with people who come to me for breathwork sessions, ancestral healing sessions, when I tune into their body and I feel the areas of stuck energy, or I feel the areas of pain, or I feel where they're holding on to grief, or I feel where they're holding on to resistance, I can then go in with my light language, whether it be spoken or movement or sung, and I can literally use those energetic frequencies, those soul codes that are channeling through me to heal that part of their soul. And, it's really quite remarkable and incredible the way that light language comes through. For me, I remember really clearly, I was standing literally in my kitchen doing the washing up, and this strange sound, this strange group of noises of words started coming out of my mouth, and I couldn't stop it. And it continued to happen. I thought, oh my goodness, I think I'm speaking light language. I think this is what it is. Now, my partner has been speaking and channeling light language for a lot longer than me, and I've been spending quite a bit of time with him. This is before we'd even moved in together, but we'd been spending quite a lot of time together. We'd sat in ceremony together. He'd held ceremonies for me, and he'd used his light language within those spaces. And so I believe that his vibration, his healing frequency of light language then activated me to have a soul remembrance in my DNA, in my cellular system, so that my light language was activated. And ever since then, I've been channeling all sorts of different languages. Some of them are spoken, some of them are sung, some of them are written, and some of them are based through movement. And I'm going to give you various examples of these during this podcast episode. But also, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the movement-based light language. And I've also shared quite a lot of it on my Instagram page. So if you want to go and see what this looks like and what it feels like to have a transmission of the light language beyond this podcast episode, then go ahead and check out my YouTube page or my Instagram page, where I share more of my light language activations. It can be said that the roots of light language can be traced back to various civilizations, and it was often used in sacred rituals, in ceremonies, and spiritual practices. So, in a lot of indigenous cultures, shamans, mystics, oracles, prophets from different parts of the world employed this concept of using soul language or light language to connect with higher realms and communicate with spirits, and to communicate with the cosmos, and to communicate with source, and to then facilitate healing through that channel. And as I've mentioned before, there are these different forms of light language. Um, and some people have a specific form of light language that they use. So some people can only speak it, some people can only sing it, some people can only write it, and some people can only move it. And some people can do a whole variety of those different things. So when it first came in for me, I had what's known as glossolalia, which is like this phenomenon where you start to speak the language, as I described to you. Like, it's the language, I didn't consciously know it. I was doing the washing up, it came out of my mouth. I had no idea what was coming out of my mouth, but I just knew instinctively that it was light language. And this is like considered a direct channeling of higher dimensional energies. And so as I was channeling this through, and I was speaking it and it came out of my mouth, these were words that I didn't recognize straight away, but my soul did. So me, Shani, the human living in the reality of the world we call Earth in 2024 now, although this happened back in 2022, I believe. I didn't have the concept of what this language was, but I was channeling the higher dimensional energies using spoken word. And ever since then, I've actually started to speak multiple different types of languages. And so it's not just one kind of language that I've spoken. And actually, these languages have different tones to them as well as different pitches. So there's this one language that comes out, and I'll see if I can channel it through for you in a moment. There's one language that comes out for me that when I feel like I'm rewriting codes around pleasure and joy, when I feel like that's what I'm channeling through, the tone and the pitch of my light language is so much higher than you would imagine any other language to be, because it's like I think it's an avian light language. It's like connected to the birds. It sounds quite bird-like. It sounds quite chirpy. And when I channel through that language, it's as if I'm rewriting codes around pleasure and joy. And for so many of us, particularly for women, we've been denied this concept of pleasure and of joy, and we think that we don't deserve it. I was literally having this conversation with somebody the other day who's about to go on a holiday, a really big holiday to celebrate a big birthday. And it's someone who's been in my women's community, in my sacred sisterhood community, and she was saying to me, like, there's this part of me that still doesn't feel like I deserve to go on this holiday. There's a part of me that still doesn't feel like I deserve to have these nice things in my life. There's a part of me that still doesn't feel like I deserve to have these luxurious experiences, even though she's absolutely deserving of it. And she's worked hard all her life and she's created this abundance so that she can go and enjoy these things. And why do we as women don't feel like we can have this pleasure? Because we've been shamed over and over again for experiencing any kind of sensation or pleasure in our body, and we deny ourselves this pleasure and this shame. And this topic is a whole other podcast in itself, so I'm not going to dive too deeply into that. But I know for me, when I'm feeling stuck in my body and I'm feeling more as if I'm in the masculine side of doing, of overdoing, of not tuning into what it is that my body or my eros actually desires, this particular light language with this high pitch and this kind of chirpy bird-like sound tends to come through to help me rewrite codes around my worthiness to enjoy pleasure. And it's the same when I work with my clients. So I'm going to see if I can channel this particular light language for you. It doesn't always want to come through unless it needs to in a moment, because it is so channeled. So I'm just going to tune in and see if I can connect to it to give you an example of what this particular light language sounds like. So as you can hear, it's like really high pitched, very childlike, quite playful. And that's the language that tends to come through, as I said, when I'm trying to create a connection to joy and rewrite the script around the shame that women especially carry, believing that they can't experience pleasure and joy. And so that's part of the spoken language. And then I also have light language that comes through in song. And often my partner and I will sing in kind of a harmonic light language together. And again, you can go and check out some of those videos on my Instagram page. And we're going to be creating a new Instagram page as we journey onto our Costa Rica adventure. And we'll be sharing a lot more of these kind of activations and connections around it there. But sometimes when you need to just sing it through and it moves the energy through, and it's really beautiful when you can actually come into union with someone else and kind of have like a light language jam or a light language conversation, so that you are kind of connecting with somebody else but on a different realm. So even though you're both using the resonance of your sound on this earth plane, and you, other people, humans, can hear the sound that's coming out of your mouth, the energy and the frequency of those sounds in harmony are creating some kind of vortex in another realm that is actually creating some kind of energy healing and spiritual growth in whatever area it needs to. And then it can also come out in sacred symbols or geometry. So some people write light language, and these carry specific energetic codes and information. Again, it can activate spiritual growth and healing. Writing light language was actually the last form of light language that came to me during a ceremony. I spoke it, then I sung it, then my hands started to move it, and I'm going to show you an example of that too. And then came the writing, and again I started to write, and I could see that it was all in symbols, and it was, my hand was moving super quick, and I couldn't stop it, and it was creating all these like repeated patterns on the page, and it looked like what I would describe as Aramaic. If I was to see it as another language, it would look like Aramaic. And my ancestry, my lineage goes back to Israel, to ancient Egypt, to the Sumerian races. And therefore, I absolutely know that I would have had Aramaic, Middle Eastern ancestry and lineage within my blood, connecting to the Magdalene, connecting to the priestesses, connecting to the mystery schools. And so for me, when I started to channel the light language through writing, it was really incredible because it blew my mind that I could actually write these symbols on a page. And I've been able to repeat that since. I've been able to continue writing it. I still don't fully understand what it is that I'm writing. I'm yet to learn to translate it into, channel transmissions of English, which will be the next part of my activation. But I am able to continually repeat these patterns on the page. And again, I know I'm rewriting scripts. I know I'm rewriting energy at a cellular level across multiple planes and dimensions. And I've seen it literally heal myself and other people when I'm holding space for them during ancestral healing or breathwork journeys. And then I've mentioned about singing as well. So like tonal and vibrational frequencies. You can use it with other kinds of sound. So you can use it with like kind of throat, tonal through your throat. I can't do that yet. My partner can definitely do it. I can't give you an example of it because I can't do it, but there's like when it comes through your throat and it kind of comes from underneath your throat in a tonal way. And again, like sound has resonance, right? Like your words have a resonance, and that resonance creates a frequency, and certain frequencies are healing and certain frequencies are actually damaging and very detrimental. And so when I'm using light language through song and tonal and vibrational frequencies, again, I'm like, it's like cutting straight through the matrix, right? Like it's like a cheat code for cutting through the matrix. And it's like I'm literally cutting through really difficult blocks energetically that have been placed there over lifetimes and multiple dimensions and different parts of your soul that have been fragmented across different timelines and different lifetimes. It's like the light language just cuts straight in to remove the blocks and any dark energy, and it activates a new frequency within your body, within your soul, within your essence. And it literally allows you to shift into a new vibration, which then affects you in your reality. So for example, in my one-to-one healing sessions that I give people, as I said at the start, when I tune in to their body and I can feel that there's some kind of, say there's a blockage at the base of their neck and I can feel it, and I'll say to them, like, there's something stuck in the base of your neck. Do you mind if I use some light language on you? And I will either use my movement, which I'm giving you an example of now. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you've seen things like this on my Instagram, you'll know that my light language moves. Sometimes it moves very, very quickly, and sometimes it moves much more slowly. And actually, when I'm using that, I can use it to clear the energy in that space. And I will often accompany that also with spoken light language or with sung light language. And almost instantly, within like a few minutes, they will say that the pain has shifted. It's gone. The energy has changed. So it like literally cuts straight through. It's like a quantum technology. It's like laser sharp. It goes straight into the point and clears that shit out of your body. It is really, really magical, powerful, and potent when channeled through with truth and integrity. And I found that when I'm out in like at festivals or when I'm in at ecstatic dances, the music, especially medicine music, which also carries its own frequency, right? Especially medicine music, it's meant to activate you. It contains medicine, it carries the medicine of the person, of the artist who's created the music for a specific reason to activate you in your body. So when I'm in these places like ecstatic dances or festivals, I often find that my light language comes alive, like really alive, and my whole body starts to move and my hands start to move quicker. So it's like I am connecting with the resonance and the sound of that music and the frequency, and my soul is connecting with it on a level that's actually again rewriting codes and rewriting scripts. And I really believe that the world came into existence through sound. Like, I believe that sound was the first vibrational frequency that we ever experienced on this earth. It's the first vibrational frequency that you experience when you come into this earth. What is the first thing that a baby does when it's born? It cries. It literally opens its mouth and creates sound, frequency. And then we know, the mother knows that the baby is alive and safe. The baby is expressing itself. So sound is like literally births us into existence. It's so primal. If you give birth to anything without some kind of sound, like how can you birth anything without sound? Like physical, literal laborious birth, like giving birth to a child, but also when you want to create something in your reality. So if you want to birth a new project, first it forms as a thought form, and then you speak it out loud and it becomes the sound, and that sound resonates, and the frequency of those words resonate, and it has vibration, and it starts to form your reality. So I really wanted to share this with you today because I've been speaking a lot about it on my Instagram page, and I've been using it for quite a while now in my healing. And I really carried quite a bit of shame around it at the beginning because I thought, people are going to think I'm crazy, like I'm talking some kind of gobbledygook language, and maybe to other people, they don't really understand what I'm saying. But you don't need to understand it because it's a language of the soul. It's a language of your essence. It's a language of the cosmos. You don't need to understand the words that I'm saying to feel the energy and to feel the frequency and to receive the healing from it. So I use this tool, as I said, in all of my one-to-one journeys, whether it's ancestral healing or breathwork sessions. And I'm going to be offering light language activations as an individual um, session, so that if you have an issue, like, or a pain in your body, or some stuck energy, or just one particular problem that you're like a challenge that you're stuck on, you can come to me and I will literally like quantum leap you and clear through it, and get rid of the block within like half an hour. We will just clear that shit out of your body. So it's going to be like a really quick and accessible way to clear like one certain issue. That's not an ongoing journey like my liberated woman journey, or when you come to me for a series of ancestral healing sessions, but you could come to me for like 3 light language sessions, and we can clear through one particular issue or a couple of issues and just clear through those blocks. So I'm going to be adding that soon to my temple of offerings. It will be on my website and you'll be able to book in for that. And it'll be a much shorter, kind of deeper, sharper, more laser focused session where I can really support you in clearing those blocks and realign you and retrieve parts of your soul and retrieve your power so that you can feel more aligned on your path. You can feel more vital, more alive, more vibrant, and more connected to your intuition, to your soul, and to your path. Aho. So I look forward to serving you in this way. And the next time you receive an episode, we will probably be in Costa Rica. So continue to follow our journey. And I very much look forward to connecting with you once again. Have a magical day.